It's another week of trying to stay alive in our survivor pools.
Survivor, man, that's like the beer bong of the contest.
We got knocked out of Survivor in week 1.
I think it's in my rules of Survivor. I think no Jaguars.
Every week, you can be done.
Survive and advance with us right now on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM.
Sammy at SB Shoot. I'm at Joe Ostrowski. We've got Survivor here, and I know some of you are out, and a bunch of you jumped into revival pools, but it's an interesting angle. You can take this information that we give for Survivor, and we can relate it to our betting or some of our contests that we're in. If we're in pools where you're picking teams against the spread, straight up, confident stuff. So you can use this information, our opinions, for all of that, whether you want to follow or fade. And Sam, let's talk about what's gone down with some of the big pools. Now, first, we've talked about my pools on this show. We had guests that have made deep runs like Beef Loaf and Chirizi in my contest. So the rich people pool, which started with 206, was knocked down to 2 after week 5 in the NFL. Our guys from the 108 were one of those 2. They made it to the end, splitting an entry, as they talked about on this show. They got home because they did the Bears. I think they already used the Niners or the Seattle, whatever. Those top 2 they did not use, which the majority of people in pools did.
I think they used San Fran against New England the week before.
Okay. And so they decided against Seattle, I'm guessing, or they thought people would take them and maybe Giants were live, whatever it is. It was them and somebody else, a listener with the name Nick. And they got together and they did decide to chop but still play. Chop but still play. The chop was $15K each in pocket. Let's play for the last 16. In that same position, let's be real, a lot of the great teams have not been used. It's been a short season. You've used 5 NFL teams. You just used the Bears, not one of the great teams. Would you have chopped in that manner? Take 15, play for 16.
It's hard to answer that question when you're not really in the situation, but I think many people would think about the entry, which I believe was $250, and see a 5-figure payout and think, I don't care. I made it this far. Everybody else is dead. Let me come out with something. And I certainly understand that. I also knew that they had made it to the chop because I did get a text in the group thread. Hey, what should we tip Joe O? And I said,
oh
okay.
My God.
They made some. No, you got to tip. You got to tip the person something. And you should appreciate the tip. And I know you do. Anybody looking to tip people that run pools, good people in my book. But the chaos was not just in your pool. It was in pools all over the country. Seattle and San Francisco going down, and ironically enough, they meet tonight on Thursday Night Football, and somebody's got to win, unless it ends in a tie, of course. But in the big Vegas contest at Circa, 160 people knocked out on Seattle, 86 knocked out on San Francisco. So of the 14,000 entries in that pool, only 221 are left for the winner-take-all prize of $14.2 million. San Francisco was a tough loss. Tough loss. We had a guest on last week, David Woodley, who was in so many entries, around 100-plus entries, and he went heavy on San Francisco. Now, he's still alive in a handful of entries, maybe a couple handfuls of entries, but
so we're not bad luck.
Saving these big teams. No, we're not bad luck. It's not our fault. It's not our fault.
Ian McMillan lost too. We had him on Friday.
I would rather the Falcons have lost last Thursday than him lose in Survivor, for the record. But you go to the board this week, and it's so weird because I know we're going to talk about what we would do. Is it strange that I want to start with big favorites that are going to lose? Like, that's where I want to start.
It happens every week. Okay, so we've had 5 weeks, and in 4 of them, the biggest favorite on the board has lost outright. What the hell? It's Philadelphia.
So you're looking at Philly as a 9.5 point favorite at home against Cleveland. Philadelphia getting healthy, both receivers back at practice. Lane Johnson looking like he's going to progress and play as
Off the
healthy as
bye.
they've been off the bye, of course. Now, it's different in Philly with Nick Sirianni than it was under Andy Reid off the bye, as we all know. But you're looking at Philly as a 9-point favorite and the Houston Texans as a 7-point favorite on the road against a rookie quarterback making his first start. History tells us in a very small window this year, one of those teams is losing. I'm not going to bet either dog on the money line, but history tells us that one of them is losing.
Yep. So the big stat early in the NFL season is dogs of 6 or more. We've got four point spreads of 6 or more. This year, straight up, those dogs are 11-8. They have a winning record, the 6 or more point underdogs. And they're covering at a clip of 89%. So,
is that good?
Jesus. I mean,
is 89% good?
And we're talking about 19 games. We're not talking about a small handful. We're talking about 19 games. So it's going to flip at some point. I don't know. Will all 4 of these favorites of 6 or more win? I don't know. Okay, so of these 4 games, I crossed off 3 of them that I don't want to touch. Of the 4.
3?
It's like, yeah, I crossed off 3. Here's my quick explanation running them down. Houston -7 at New England. Dre May factor. I know he's a rookie. I know he'll have jitters. It's first time out there, and it's not an easy matchup. But if you know this, if you've watched Brissett, there's a lot he's been unable to do. And I find it hard to believe that May won't be able to accomplish some of the things that Brissett had no chance of. He was basically out there to get his ass kicked play after play. And now it's no Nico Collins. And if you look at what Nico Collins has been doing this year, he has been elite through 5 games for the Houston Texans. So could something crazy happen at home? Do they have good enough defense to mess with Stroud? Yeah, they certainly do. The O-line is a mess, but I don't want to touch that. You know, maybe the team rallies around rookie Drake May, and look at the success of the rookies that we've seen this year. The other one, Baltimore -6.5. I think we can make a case for Baltimore 6.5 and say, I don't want to take Baltimore in Survivor. That may not sound like it makes any sense, but why would I use the Ravens when they're facing a quarterback that is playing at such a high level? I know it's against very soft defenses, but I want to take the Ravens. I want to take Lamar Jackson when he has a non-divisional game against a bad offense. Why would I want to take Lamar Jackson and company against an excellent offense at this point in the season? I don't really see why you would do that. And the other one is Atlanta -6, divisional matchup. Don't want to touch it. We've seen some success with Andy Dalton against poorer defenses. He's not facing the Bears this week. Everybody riding high on the Falcons. So I don't want to mess with that one. Atlanta on the road in the division. No, thank you. So Houston, Baltimore, Atlanta. I'm not taking in Survivor, Sammy.
It's so funny because we're striking out these favorites with big numbers, but then you go down to the little numbers. Are you taking Cincinnati on Sunday night at the Giants? Ooh. Are you taking Tennessee -2.5 at home? Will Levis might be back, but the Colts could be down Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, Pittman at receiver. I mean, that's a prime spot for Tennessee, but are you burning Tennessee? Are you willing to bet Tennessee as a 2.5-point favorite at home? Chicago in London is going to probably be a semi-popular play. Semi-popular.
Enjoy that.
Not extremely popular, semi-popular. So we are so backwards on this Survivor logic because of what has happened this season. We have been taught in a very small pocket, in a 5-game sample size, big favorites, bad, small favorites, good. Eventually, that will flip. You talked about a game 2 days ago, and you like them to win and cover this spot. If I was looking small favorite and looking for a little bit of gamble, I'd go to 277, the LA Chargers. They are a 2.5, 3-point favorite at Denver. Bo Nix has been solid, but really it's been Denver's defense that has been the story of the season. That is a top 5, top 8 defense in several metrics. But you get Harbaugh, and you get that machine and how good he's been. I mean, this has been a role that Jim Harbaugh has thrived in everywhere he's been. Since getting to Stanford, they take care of business in games like this, games with small margins, games where you have to protect the football, games where you have to win ugly. These are right in the alley, right down Main Street for Jim Harbaugh. These are the games he usually wins. So I would maybe think about the LA Chargers going into Denver and getting a win.
Yeah. Majority of my spots will be on Philadelphia. You're right. And it's so backwards. We're thinking that's the risky play because the big favorite has not been winning this year. But the majority of my spots will be on Philadelphia. There's one game that we keep glossing over, and I don't think we've hardly talked about this game this week. And it's a funky line. That might be the spot. But I'll tell you this. I don't think there's another spot the rest of the year where you would like to take this team. And it's almost 6. And it's Green Bay minus 5.5. Why are we not on the Packers? Are we scared of the Cardinals because of that divisional win over the Niners last week? Or what? They're at home. So you're at Lambeau. You've got the Cardinals riding high. The Packers took care of business against the Rams, maybe a little closer than we wanted. We were on the Packers. We end up getting a cover with that one. Interesting storylines going on there that for some reason hasn't been a big story. You got a team that suspended a player because he's mad and he skipped practice. Like if that happens in another market, that is massive news all week. But that's what happened. So how does the team unite? Do they unite after that? So Dobbs is back, Romeo Dobbs. I think the Packers take care of business. Even though the number's 5.5, I like the Packers more than Atlanta, Baltimore, Houston for survivor purposes. And part of that is you look down the road, I don't know where else you're going to take Green Bay.
This could be a really strong situational spot because if you look at the weather, you talked about the number on the point spread. I'm looking at the numbers on the forecast. 53 degrees, that's the high on Sunday in Green Bay. 37 is the low. 16 to 20 mile per hour winds, and a 60% chance of rain. Now, rain doesn't really affect that much. Wind is way more important than rain. But 53 the high and 20 mile an hour winds for an indoor team going outdoors, playing in the elements. If Arizona didn't beat San Francisco literally 4 days ago, this would be the most popular pick in Survivor. It's the number one. No, it's the number one pick in Survivor. But because Arizona just beat San Francisco, that's why you have some hesitation. What's the number? 6.5, 7 potentially. But Green Bay at -5 is a little undervalued, I would think, given what Green Bay is at its core and what Arizona is on an up and down basis. That's a very roller coaster team. They also have some injuries on the offensive line, which is another check in the box for the Green Bay side. Green Bay and the Chargers are my two favorite.
Do you think people are going to fade Rattler?
I wouldn't bet an NFC South game in any Survivor pool.
No chance. I would not. But I wonder if people do say, oh, it's Rattler. I'll go against him. Or the other rookie quarterback. Oh, May, I'm going to go against him. You're not going to do it with Vegas, with O'Connell.
No.
What about tonight? I'm not doing it. You know it's one of my rules. But do people say, you know what? Nobody's going to pick San Francisco. I'm going to go against the green a little bit. This is a decent spot. It's more than a field goal.
No, we'll talk about that game coming up. I have a pretty decent look in that game. I was surprised, honestly, that you didn't just come out of the chute and say we're taking the Jets in Survivor. I thought for sure you were going to load up the truck on Aaron Rodgers, head coach Aaron Rodgers, who had nothing to do with Robert Saleh's firing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with it. The funny part of that is he admitted talking to Woody Johnson the night before. Yeah, Woody called me. I had nothing to do with it. Oh, he called you the night before? Really? You're still sticking with that story? Okay, I'm going heavy Philly, heavy Green Bay. Those are the two teams I like. If you want to live on the edge, go with Cincinnati, but I'm not interested in any of that right now.